the bank robbery capital of North America.
We used to rob a minimum of 3 banks a week.
In the 60s and 70s, it was like going to bingo.
They were tough Irish working class kids.
You've got small-time hoods had the initiative to go down and meet personally with Colombian cartel guys.
Whew, that is a clip from Kings of Coke. It's a new documentary about the West End gang. It takes a deep dive into Montreal's criminal roots and kind of exposes things that we knew were happening and suspected, the long and shady past of the Irish mob's involvement in the city's cocaine trade. And joining me now are Michael Kronish, who is producer of the documentary Kings of Coke, and Shane Murphy, who did the music for the documentary. Welcome to you both.
Nice to be here.
It's weird, huh? Because we're friends.
We're friends.
Yeah, it was like that weird little formal thing. And then I'm like, okay, right. We're also buddies. And so it's a little bit strange. And actually, so you and I remember having a conversation, Mike, about this. I don't know how long ago now, but you were saying, I'm thinking of doing this. And you were asking about music. And I remember actually saying Shane would be a great person for you to get in touch with. But before we get to the music side of things, tell me where this all came about. I understand you've been working with a book, someone who wrote a book. Tell us a little bit more about how this all began.
So the project came to me through a couple of friends who've got production companies in Montreal. There's my friend Pablo and Phil, and they had optioned a book by a guy named Darcy O'Connor, who's a Montreal writer. And he's been around for a long time. He's a great guy. He wrote this book called The Irish Mafia. They had a vision for making this into a TV series or a movie, and brought it to me. I was very lucky to get the call, and they said, "Do you want to do this?" And I was like, "Absolutely." And at the time, it was COVID, so we were kind of, I was sitting around trying to figure out what to do. I was like, "This is a perfect time for this project. I get to be in Montreal, do a story about Montreal, and work with Montrealers." So
where do you, once you've got the idea, once you know that you want to do it, where do you start with a project like this? And I imagine that it's kind of sensitive because a lot of these figures are still around and still doing deals.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I did was, read the book and then work with some researchers and writers to figure out who was around, who had stories that were interesting that could be told, and to just sort of explore what the options were. And, eventually, the writing process works its way through, and we came upon, some interesting characters that sort of we were able to thread through the story. And that's when we realized that we could put this whole story into a 90-minute format.
I often think with documentaries, you start out wanting to tell one story or thinking you're going to tell one story, and then it ends up being another one. Was that the case with this?
Yes, it was definitely the case. I think there were versions of this film on paper which heavily leaned into characters that are either not in the film or have a very small part in the film. And
what surprised you? Like what was a story that came out that you thought, oh, people didn't know this, you didn't know this, or what stuck to your ribs?
So, growing up as a Gen Xer in Montreal, I felt like I always knew that Montreal had an underbelly side to the city. I knew that it was the quote-unquote bank robbery capital of Canada, or of North America. And I knew that it was an open, tolerant, and decadent city. But I didn't really realize what that meant. And then starting to go through the newspapers, the television archives, the footage, the allopolices of the era, and looking at the crazy mayhem and destruction that was at the hands of this gang, really surprised me in how close it was to me. Yeah. And I think by extension to everyone who lived in the city. It wasn't like happening in one little part. It was happening all over the city. And a lot of that pain and destruction was at the hands of this gang.
And the like you said, how close it was, and the kinds of things that you kind of know are going on, you suspect are going on, but you also know enough to not ask a lot of questions, right? But as a documentary filmmaker, when you're producing a film, like, you got to ask the questions.
Yeah.
You got to find the answers. You can't tell a story like this without having music be a part of it. So what made you think that Shane would be a good fit?
And so Shane was like one of the first calls I made. And I don't think I knew Shane before I called him out of the blue, but I knew of him and I'd seen him play, and I knew that he represented to me Montreal, that he had that he was of the the same somewhat of the same from the same hood.
Yeah,
made it really interesting.
West End.
Shane is West End, English kind of rock guy, rootsy singer. Sings about his life experiences.
I'm an Irish kid from the West End who plays guitar.
Pretty much says it. There was a reason I thought of you right away. I mean, you are the king of the music scene as far as I'm concerned in Montreal.
Thank you, Tash.
Specifically the West End. So you get a call out of the blue, out of this guy. You don't know he's an old friend of mine. He's just calling you up.
Well, 1 degree of separation of English Montreal, right?
That's how it works. But
So,
what's your reaction, Shane?
I mean, what's my reaction? That's a good question.
Well, this is some out of your comfort zone a little bit, making music for a movie, right? So are you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, It was definitely an opportunity to do some instrumental stuff that we had spoken about, and they had Mike and the producers and music supervisors had gone through my catalog and sort of went through some of the pieces that they would like, and it turned out there was a song called "Dirty Work" that I wrote about a relationship gone bad that turned out to be the
different kind of dirty work.
Yeah, the intro and the outro of the film. But to see the neighborhood, where I grew up in Verdun, moved to NDG when I was 13, and I played in bars all over the city. Mm-hmm. NDG, Verdun, Point St. Charles. I played Villemart. I played everywhere, and I'm from there. So for the chance to add something creative to it was a big thrill, and to know that obviously it's going to be on Crave, and a real let me explore a different facet of my music, doing instrumental stuff.
Kind of like out of your wheelhouse, but still in your comfort zone.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. When you're not playing with drums, or not to get into the technical bits of it, but when you're soundscaping guitars, there's a famous film, Paris, Texas, Ry Cooder did that. So what I'm talking about. To sit there, and when Michael showed me the various cuts, it was very it was overwhelming in a way, because those are places that I grew up. Like my cousin Emmett, when I was a kid, he used to take me to the jam space, which was on Wellington, and I think I forget what the street was, and he used to take me for steamed hot dogs, and then we go up and jam. Like, I knew the drone shots. I knew those streets. I grew up on those streets. So,
yeah, it's in you.
To be able to contribute to it is a special thing.
I feel. I mean, it was just meant to be. This makes so much sense. This coming together in the way that it did, and congratulations on what you guys have created. Do you want to give us a little taste, a little 30 seconds or so of? I know,
sure.
Right?
Yeah. So we were talking about, when the intro there, you said the bank robbing capital of, was it North America?
Of North America.
Of North America. And I just put, I put my songwriting hat on, and I was in the midst of writing an album called Easy Street, sort of about the blue collar experience in Montreal. And I just said to myself, man, I said, what would it be like to have to be in a crew and rob 3 banks? If you're averaging 3 banks a week,
crazy. Huh?
That's your job. That's your job. Yeah. And how stressful that must be.
Imagine.
It's not like, I have to go, load some boxes, or I got to go, whatever. You have to go and do some work. That's stressful. Whether rightly or wrongly, that's where you ended up, but that's what you have to do. Anyways, this is a song called On the Run. I was dreaming of the past. I was moving way too fast, living on the edge, but doing all right. Got to go see my girl Hazel. to get me through the night. Life as a bank robber, coming in from the cold, and the youngins are shot to. Life as a bank rob, I'm on the run, I'm on the run. Woo, stick 'em up, baby. I was dreaming of my past, feeling good till I heard the siren blast. Living on the edge, and now the tumblers, they feel light. I got to go see my girl Hazel, she'll get me through the night. Life as a bank robber, ooh, stick 'em up, baby. Whoa.
So good. No, don't stop there.
Yeah. I'm on the run, I'm on the run. Ooh. Little Mercy.
Shane.
Nobody move, nobody get hurt.
See, he's in the zone.
He
He's
brings
in
on
the
the
zone.
yellow
He's in the zone. You are the best, man. Goosebumps. Goosebumps. I'm looking at my producers. Everybody's just like, woo. We're like, we got to go. We're late to traffic, but we're like,
Sorry.
Who cares? It's so good.
Sorry, at traffic.
Thank you.
We're all stuck in traffic.
Yeah, right? We're all stuck.
Traffic
We're all
update.
stuck in traffic. Streaming on Crave. That's where people can find
Crave
it.
in English and in French.
And in French. And a little piece of Shane New. It's called Kings of Coke. Joined today by producer Michael Kronish and musician behind the documentary, Shane Murphy. Thank you so much, gentlemen. What an absolute pleasure.
Thanks
for having us.
Congratulations.